Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to have a bit of a discussion regarding the new Descent game mode that is soon coming to the Division 2. It has been focused a lot on and going through a lot of changes on the public test server for the Year 5 Season 1 update, and so specifically with the release of Phase 2 this past Friday, I want to give my overall thoughts and feedback on the changes that have been made, because for the most part I think they're pretty darn good. The overall presentation of the mode has been enhanced, there's a lot more visual and audio based fidelity, and that's been really cool to see. The difficulty was a big point of feedback for myself and many during Phase 1, but now it's much more dynamic, less predictable, which was I think what a lot of us wanted. The reward structure for the mode has been implemented, and for the most part I think it's pretty solid. Some adjustments maybe, but the actual foundation of it is quite good. And so as we go through, I just want to highlight some of the changes, what I like about them, and give a bit further feedback on how this mode could improve before launch. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off with difficulty, because that was, at least for myself, the biggest point of feedback from Phase 1. The mode had a really good structure, in my opinion, for how it was handling, how to throw different threats at you. It was all just a bit undertuned. It was, for the most part, too easy once you really got into it. I mean, first off the bat, even in the first few levels, the spawning of the enemies was really predictable. They usually just came out of a single door, so that allowed you to camp them even before you really had any power associated to your loadout. And then after the Nemesis, once you did start earning some of that power, you basically just became unkillable, and the mode was no longer really a challenge to see how far you could go. It was just how much time did you have to put into this run. But I'm happy to say the big improvements seem to have been made. Off the bat, spawning is much less predictable. Right off the bat, I think there are 2 doors that enemies can spawn from, and very quickly that will ramp up to 3, 4, sometimes even the entire room will have red doors, meaning you don't actually know where the NPCs are going to come out from. The economy of the mode is better with the currency you earn in mode to buy power-ups and replenishes and all those things. They removed the hazard skips, which I thought was something that was a bit odd from Phase 1, and so it means you actually have to face those challenges more. They also reduced the amount of special ammo you get when you buy those power-ups, which is a great move, because it's fine to still have them, and now they only give you 30 rounds for whatever weapon you're using, and that makes it much more balanced in my opinion compared to the 120 that they used to give you, which when you buy 120 rounds of shock ammo, you can imagine how that kind of trivializes a lot of the experience. The hazards in the mode are much more present and obstructive, which is good. They were previously very minimal and avoidable, and that was unfortunate in my opinion, so now they are more direct, more in your face, which gives you more things to think about when you're trying to go and engage in these rooms. A few of them I think could still use some increased visibility. There was, I want to say, the shock one where they do it similar to the turbine room in Countdown. That was a bit hard for me to tell where in the room it was actually going to affect me, because it wasn't the entire room, but it would kind of randomly hit me, so I wasn't sure what was going on there. There were a few, like the chem vapor one, I feel like just kind of popped out of nowhere sometimes, so I think a bit more work there could be done to increase the visibility, at least in certain rooms that they spawn in, but overall hazards are in a much better place than they were during Phase 1. Overall, the pre-Nemesis tuning is great. There's better balance between NPC health and their damage, the overall lethality and challenge that they provide. There's more variety in the veterancy. You get more purple and elite ads, sooner than I think before. It was like almost not until after the Nemesis that you would start seeing those. They start to get incorporated earlier on. And there's more waves. Once you get to the 3rd or 4th loop, they start incorporating multiple waves into the rooms that you enter into. Again, just more ways to keep you on your toes, present you with more challenge sooner on, and I think that all provides a really great experience. My time with post-Nemesis difficulty has been limited, so maybe, my thoughts might not be fully complete here, but it still does feel slightly undertuned. Some of that I think at the end of the day is just going to come down to personal preference, whether people really want to be challenged in this mode or whether they just want a moderate sort of experience. I thought that it was, still a bit too easy. Like, I wasn't really being threatened too much. I didn't feel like I had to really play tactically. And I think a lot of that still comes down to just the sheer number of times that these talents can be stacked. I think the mode is overall providing a pretty good gameplay challenge now, but the fact that I can still stack 10 times the effectiveness of preservation or strain or any of those things just makes it so that we have so much power. And I still feel like if they reduce that even to 7, 6, 5, it would just feel a bit more organic and like you still had to actually try and be mindful when it comes to your gameplay. But again, that might come down to personal preference. That's just kind of my thoughts on it. Overall, as far as difficulty is concerned, I am much happier now than before, and specifically I think the pre-Nemesis part of the mode, which is where the majority of people will be engaging with it, is in that 1st to 5th loop before and while you're fighting the Nemesis. It feels really good, and I think that's really awesome for the overall presentation that we're going to see when it fully releases. Let's then talk about the rewards. They've now been added to the mode. We now know what you're going to get when you spend your time playing in Descent. For the most part, I think they have a great structure in place. I just think it's not quite tuned right at this moment. So in an hour-and-a-half run, what I got was 2 SHD levels, 1 exotic cache, 1 crafting cache, and 1 simulation cache. The important thing to note is those crafting caches are really good. They give you like 50 of almost every viable material in the game and 25 of some of the more rarer ones. So it's giving you a lot of really great stuff. In the simulation cache, it doesn't say in the patch notes, but this is the version of the perfected cache you might have heard about during phase 1 that wasn't fully implemented yet. And so what it means is that you're getting 2 items that can be high-end, named, or gear set ones, and they come with fully maxed out stats, right? So whatever, it's still completely random what you're getting, but the stats are guaranteed to be maxed out on those things. So it's basically a god roll cache. So I don't think the problem is the types of rewards we're getting. Those things are all really great. The problem is how much you're getting, because for an hour-and-a-half, I feel like it should be a bit more than that. So ideally, I would think if someone were to do an hour-and-a-half run, they should probably get 4 to 5 SHD levels. 1 exotic cache is still fair, I think. And then either 1 to 2 simulation caches or 2 to 3 of those crafting caches. I think bumping up either of those amounts as well as the base amount of XP you're gaining will make people feel much more rewarded for their time spent here. Now, I don't know how they are determining what you get. Is there just a certain level you have to pass and then you get those base rewards and then it maybe scales up the further you go? Is it incrementally based on how many loops you've done or how far you've gone? Again, I have no idea. I just feel like from that one experience I had going for an hour-and-a-half, I feel like I should be getting a bit more than what I am, but obviously more samples here, more data will be useful. And so if you've had any experience or more time played on Descent in this PTS, I would love to hear your thoughts specifically on the rewards that you earned down below. Overall, guys, I am really happy with the Phase 2 presentation of the new Descent game mode. I think a lot of the feedback and concerns that players were voicing after Phase 1 were addressed here, and I really appreciate that. I think this is a really good opportunity for us to give good feedback on the mode before it goes live. Does it still need maybe a few further tweaks before launch? Yes, but that's why we have, 3+ weeks to go. I think they've given themselves a good amount of time to be able to make those changes, and hopefully it will launch in the best state possible. And I think with the fact that this still is not everything with the mode, we still have the weekly collectible comms that they're going to be adding via, I think, a project that are going to be there for every week once the mode is live. That's going to be a good incentive. There's going to be those tier-based cosmetic leaderboard rewards that will be added. And in combination with everything we're seeing with the mode now, and hopefully an enhanced version of that when it goes live, I think this should be a new compelling game mode for both returning and veteran Division 2 players to enjoy. So I'm quite excited to see how it turns out. I very much hope you enjoyed the video. If so, a like would be greatly appreciated, and be sure to click that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on all of my future Descent in Year 5 Season 1 content. Let me know your thoughts on the Descent game mode, whether you took part in the PTS or you've just been watching gameplay and coverage of it over these past few weeks. Let me know how you think the mode is progressing. Do you think it's going in the right direction? What further changes do you think might need to be made? Would love to hear all of that down below, and if you want to stay connected with me, be sure to check out the Twitter and Discord links in the description. That's going to do it for me today, though, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Ow.